How's it going, people? Welcome back to CarsWithBen. And in today's video, we are going to be covering 5 future classics under 10k. Now, the future classics that I will be covering are not the ones on here, so they will be other ones that are under 10k, because obviously these ones are not that cheap. But just bear in mind, these are UK specifications, and they will be UK prices. So it may differ in your country depending, and they are just prices alone, based off the future classic that I've gone for. So let's jump straight into the video. At number 1, the VW Corrado. The VW Corrado is, for me, a future classic because it was released in 1988, and the Volkswagen division had, of course, the Scirocco, the successor of the Scirocco, and then they wanted to go with the sort of weird cousin, which was the Corrado, which is a strange shape. Now, it didn't pull in the same numbers that the Scirocco did, which is why there's a new one. However, I still believe this will be a future classic because of that reason. It's highly customizable, and they are around 5 or 6 grand now. But just be aware, if you are looking at these, they can be a bit of a dog. So what I like about the Corrado is that it's just so unique, and the fact that they've never made another one is usually an indicator that it will be a future classic. So definitely look at that when you are in the market for future classics. And if I could, I would definitely own one of these because they are so unique. The Clio 182. The Clio 182, for me, has to be in the future classic list because it is a traditional hot hatch. It is a 2003 model car that was released after several years of the Clio being ran. It was very successful, and they decided to make a bit more of a hot hatch, spiced up version with a bit more power, and as a result, this is what kind of came out. Now, at the time, the Renault F1 team were doing great things, and it was probably a result of that. Now, prices for the Clio 182 probably around 5 grand, but for that you are getting quite a cool little car, and they are going to be on the increase because they're so cool and unique. The reliability as well of Renault is a major factor when buying in 182, so bear that in mind for that. Another thing as well is that they are incredibly cheap to run and insure because it's still a base Clio. Yes, it has a bit more power, but it's not so much power that it would run you off, in terms of insurance. So it's definitely actually a very good car for a young person as well, despite having more power. Number 3, the 147 GTA. So the 147 GTA is a very questionable car that I've put in this one, and due to that reason, being Italian, it's very, very unreliable. However, do bear with me because I do believe this car will be a future classic. And that is its Italian pedigree and uniqueness. Now, they did release Alfa Romeo 147s, but the GTA was so unique in power and style that it actually became very, very pricey, and had shared components with the Fiat Coupe. Prices are at the moment 9 grand, so just under 10k. However, I have seen some for just over 10k, so it is something to bear in mind if you are looking at a 147. You've got that amazing styling, but a car that might not be something you want to use day to day, as it's very unreliable. However, I do love the look of these, so it's got to be in the future classic list for me at number 3. The Ford Puma at number 4. So the Ford Puma has firstly, before I get into it, the Ford Puma has a racing Puma, which is already a future classic, and I was going to include it on this list. However, I found that the prices were already around 25k. So unfortunately, it cannot be included, but I started with this because there is a reason for that. Now, as we know, the Ford Puma 2020 edition has just come out, and this kind of goes against what I said with the Corrado. However, the reason for that is I believe this original Puma will be a future classic. And as the one you see in here, it still shares obviously a lot of the components with the Ford Racing Puma. Yes, it isn't there is a modern version now, and it isn't as sporty, but this one still is very unique in its look. It originally came in 1997 and had such a different look, and they did go rallying with this car, which is why the racing division came about. And another reason I believe, point to add to this, is that Ford has a racing history with Cosworth, being that Sierra, or whether that's the Escort, or whether that is the RS200. So we know that Fords are, classic Fords are going to go up in price. Prices at the moment are very low with £1,000 worth. However, Car Throttle recently did a video that showed it was £500 if it's a terrible one. But if you want to spend a bit more money, I'd say spend around £2,000 for this. But give it 10 years time and I believe it will hit that market for future classics. So that is something to bear in mind. I definitely love the shape of this and we haven't really seen anything like it since. So that goes for the number 4 slot. And finally, number 5, the Mazda RX-8. Now, you might be wondering why I've included this car, and I'm actually including the 2000 early model and free model, but I'm also including the 2009 model, which you see here. Now, prices are a bit less, being from around 5,000 to about around 9,000, but these cars have dropped quite a lot in value, and the reason for that is their rotary engine. But I believe that's what makes this car also very unique. The rotary engine is not an engine that's used commonly just because of its reliability issues. However, I do believe this uniqueness of the car, for 2 reasons, will be a future classic. Number 1 is the doors are actually coming out a bit like a Rolls Royce, and you've effectively got 4 doors on that car, so it is really cool. And secondly, the looks. Everyone loves an RX-8. They are just very cool on the road, and you don't really see them that much more, which is another reason why I believe it's going to be a future classic as well. So adding to that, the rarity at number 3. So yeah, that has got to be in my list for 5 future classics. I definitely believe in price terms, you are able to afford these just under 10k, but you will want to bear in mind, the rate at which some might go up and others might not. So anyway, guys, that's been my future classics. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I've been CarsWithBen. Give it a like, subscribe for more content, car content. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video where I will be covering games as well. Peace.